So today we're going to be profiling Christian Pulisic, the American captain, the LeBron James of American soccer. We're going to find out, is he really going to be better than the likes of Clint, Dempsey and Donovan, legends in the American game? Or is he a watered down version of the greats like Cristiano Ronaldo? Nuance Sports, let's break it down, guys. So from the stats, you can see that Pulisic is actually the highest number of goals from open play than any of those top attacking midfielders across Europe's league. You can also see that he actually does have, let's say, less shots on goal, but his shot accuracy is quite impressive, and he's got some of the most outcomes from the times he does make attempts on goal. This is clear when you compare him to the likes of Saka, who have a lot more attempts on goal, but less outcomes, less accuracy on that part. So the stats show that Pulisic covers a lot more ground on base down on goal before he makes his shots or attempted goal. Only Jota has less distance between the goal and him before he makes attempts. Now Pulisic can play on the right or the left wing, or is an attacking midfielder coming in from central positions. The key takeaway is that he can use both his feet. As you see here, I made a collection of video where you see him scoring with his left foot, depending mostly on precision, but there's also some element of power in his strikes. I actually see even with his time in Chelsea that he doesn't hang back with progress with the attack, and his finishes, even at acute angles, you see the level of precision there. I think one is going to observe that Pulisic prefers to close down the distance to goal and pick his spot depending more on accuracy than power. He also has those golden zone finishes where those scramble goals in no man's land, he can finish in those. If you see in this pick again, there picks his shot, left corner, you're going to see a similar technique here, comes up, acute angle, but he still does the job there. He's more of an accuracy man. He also can sneak in behind defense. There, picks his spot again. I think it's a clear pattern which does show you that in terms of being lethal and being able to execute, even like you see there, the ball control, picks his space under pressure, comes in there. He already has a spot. He knows where he's going to place his finish. I actually think in terms of potency, you can substitute a striker for Pulisic. He has such an eye for goal. So like I pointed out before, Pulisic can also play on the right, and you've seen him make finishes on his right foot. From the eye test, you can actually see that this is his stronger foot. And you see him there in that clip for AC, finishing. I think one of his best strikes was that one with the US men's team against Germany. They went in field, pulled the trigger. You can also see him try shift there and make a shot. Not as powerful, but you can see the technique is quite similar. You also see him with his golden zone finishes. Same thing as when he was doing on his left, when he was playing with Chelsea there. There you see him again, like we said, he tries to close down the distance to goal and depends more on accuracy than power. In the current clip, we speak about composure, decision making. He decides to go for a shot, not a header first time. There again, he bears in, accurate finish. I think the level of maturity Pulisic exhibits over the years he's been playing has been increasing. He's consistently in the right spaces. You see in this clip, he does a finish off a second ball. The anticipation, knowing where to be, it's just immaculate. See the composure in this clip, staying on his feet, making his finish. And if you see here, the anticipation, keeping up with the attack force, finishing under pressure. I believe Pulisic is just hitting top gear, and we're here to see the best of him in the Champions League as well as in Syria, where he's playing with AC Milan, and he's been of a huge impact ever since joining them. So outside of national duty, where he does most of the scoring himself, you're going to find that at club level, he's a great assist king for a lot of players. With Leao currently, or during the time he was playing with Mount at Chelsea, he'd set up teammates. All he requires is playing with a pacey forward line. So Pulisic's numbers for this season are right up there with Saka's and Antonio Gordon's. But if you want to do justice from historical seasons, you see that he does open play assists, and he actually wins free kicks and penalty kicks at times with those pacey runs. So from the eye test, you can clearly see the fluidity of his movement in the final third and in the penalty box there. You can also see the vision he has and the plan or premeditation he has. You can see and anticipate movement of his teammates off the ball and on the ball. There in this clip, you see him setting up a teammate there. Great vision. Sets them up for sitters. Like here with Leao at AC, plays it through. The striker is left with a very simple, easy job. So with that aim of getting closer to goal or actually linking up with teammates, Pulisic finds himself in the penalty area a lot. The opposition ends up conceding a lot of penalties. I believe if he was the first choice penalty taker for this clubs as he is for the US men's team, his goal scoring numbers would be higher. Next, let's take a look at Pulisic's ball carrying abilities. So Pulisic has always been an elite ball carrier, and this season's numbers actually show that. He only comes second to the outstanding Saka and generally in the region of Anthony Gordon's. You can see there that high progressive distance towards the opponent's goal. His CPA does seem to have taken a dip, but I believe that's more having the likes of Liao taking that role. So Pulisic's success at taking on opponents is actually very high. The incidence though, I believe is a bit lower. He seems to attempt less and he concedes less tackles. I believe that's because of an history of injuries which we see plaguing younger players who are still yet to know when to pick their battles, like Kyle Saka there. Now, you're going to find that Pulisic runs a lot with the ball. He can also keep it at his feet quite longer. It actually reminds me of prime Ronaldo. Maybe not as elite as Lionel Messi, but if you see him off the left wing there, the vibes with Ronaldo are quite similar. He does those little step overs, that sort of thing. The distance at which he carries the ball, the level at which he's able to keep players and draw defenders to him and be able to push and progress the ball, it's quite elite, I believe. In this footage here, we predominantly have him coming off the left wing, having an average of 2-3 defenders with him, and still being able to make the delivery where it's supposed to go. There in this clip, you see him, Chelsea versus Newcastle, goes through there. He draws quite significant numbers, and the pace at which he's able to keep moving. He can carry the ball from great distances, whether if it's actually in the final attacking third or he's coming from a bit more central in the middle third, or he's just above that CDM position linking up with the likes of Kante when he was at Chelsea. His tenacity actually carries the team and puts them in positions to execute. Like you see there, I actually like his spirit. He doesn't lose the ball easily even when he's progressed such distances and is under pressure. Another key aspect of the American's game is his ability to hold on to the ball and shield the ball using his body. He's not a significantly sized player, but he's able to actually put in a fair or decent amount of work holding off opponents and shielding and protecting the ball. If he has sufficient protection like from the referee, I believe for the most part decisions go his way. He doesn't have the same physical presence, maybe for instance of the greats like Ronaldo, or if you want to compare him to modern strikers like Højlund with a bit of a more stocky presence, but his technique is sufficient and he does mount a decent physical challenge. You see him not hesitate to drop a bit deep and actually do a bit of defensive work in that defensive third, draw fouls as we said before. I think a testament to Pulisic's work rate was in the time when he was playing in the Bundesliga, going up against the likes of Koeman and coming up. You see in that clip at pace, shrugging off a challenge and being able to progress. There were times he did lose out to the stadia, bigger defenders who would put their body and really body check it. Another key aspect of Pulisic's game is his ability to control the ball. Whether he's using his feet, like you see in that clip, unfortunately he got bundled off the ball, or if he's using his chest or whatever other body part that's legal, he's able to do that miraculously somehow. Or miracle is a stretch, but technically is that ability. See him there, get himself out of a defensive bind, or here progressing the attack in an offensive position, bringing the ball down under control, or in that game where he scores that beauty against Liverpool. Couple of touches, sets himself up for a great goal. In particular, like this skill, I think it was mostly visible in his time when he was playing in the Bundesliga. Those little deft touches, chest to ball. I think the key trademark is his chest to ball control. He's able to move. And I think the key thing to note is it's whether he's in a defensive capacity or he's just in an open play situation, he has the composure to hold the ball. Well, if you look at this aspect from a stats point of view this season, Anthony Gordon and Bukayo Saka are still ahead of Pulisic in this aspect. But if you look at terms of, let's say, the 90s he's played and you compare them with other players in that range, he still puts in a decent shift and it's quite clear that he still has that command of the ball and can still be an effective receiver and distributor of the ball, especially in the offensive third, though his defensive work rate is a bit questionable here.
Lowton back to Mount. All still in there. Pulisic! Yeah!
So Pulisic does score the odd goal with his head. For the most part, his technique is okay. He does make the attempts, but I think that his numbers are low here because he's mostly in a position where he's taking the set piece himself, so he's not in a position to score. So I believe the stats there do a decent job of describing Pulisic's aerial capabilities. Most of the time, he will lose aerial battles, but the whole point is, I think as the eye test will show, he does put in heart, does put in spirit, and in some cases he's not really in direct duels, he's more of in positions of making interceptions. I still believes is a critical part of his game. I think the key aspect to take away is that in open play, be it in progressing the ball or in defensive positions, he's not afraid to put his head up there. He also uses it as part of his ball control technique to bring the ball under control. He's not afraid to put his head where it hurts, and sometimes it does get hurt, but he takes one for the team. Whether he was playing for Dortmund or with Chelsea, there's sufficient footage of him in open play, trying to bring the ball under control, trying to win possession, or playing in a defensive capacity to be able to make clearances. He's there. He's not as stellar or elite in the use of his head, but he does try. Being an attacking midfielder, the key component of Pulisic linking up is his offensive play. You see him there in that run at AC, he builds from the middle of the park, goes through and actually converts into a goal. That's what they pay him for, and that's why he's highly rated. Strategy is making short to medium passes, running with the ball. There his success rate is in the 80s percentile, right up to the likes of Saka. When you ask him to make the long passes, accuracy drops, and is actually below the performance of the likes of Diego Jota and Torres. If a team's playing strategy required it, he'd probably be able to improve. You see him operating in the final third, dribbling a bit, combining with a teammate again, trying to find space. It's typically what he's there for. Here on the left wing, he receives the ball and he's also finding space. In this clip, you see him do a little nice 1-2 exchange, find space, and they win a penalty. Pulisic also plays a great support role in terms of attacking. There he retains the position after a teammate loses it. With AC, similar thing, gets the ball, progresses the attack. And again in the next clip, you see him now relieving a defensive position. He has the traditional work rate of a real attacking midfielder. Well, when it comes to long passing, Pulisic doesn't really have those great numbers because he's really not called upon to do that a lot. He plays more in teams that progress the ball on the ground and do those 1-2 exchanges. More so like you see when he was playing for the US men's team, there is more of the fulcrum distributing. He'll try, like you see in the footage here. Sometimes it comes off well, sometimes it's not so good. So most of the time as he's featuring on the left or the right wing, you're going to find that crossing is a key component of Pulisic's game. His numbers are still off the beat compared to Saka's, but he still ranks elite. He comes in off the left or the right, and as you see the number of blocks he gets, he doesn't get too significant numbers, and his success rate is relatively significant. From the eye test, you can clearly see that Pulisic is great at this. Whether he's using his left foot or he's using his right foot, he's able to find people in offensive capacities quite easily and with great accuracy. What really makes him worth the money is his ability to be played on either flank, on the right or on the left. As you used to see him being employed on the left by Chelsea, now he's employed mostly on the right by AC, though he does rotate. He mixes that up with a few dribbles here and there for maximum effectiveness. So for the most part, when he doesn't cut in and make an attempt on goal, he always flicks it in for potential assists. So being both right and left-footed, Pulisic does employ corner kicks and to great effect. You see there he's able to hit out swingers, like in the clip you saw there, or he'll be able to strike in swingers. Like we said, we're saying that his heading numbers themselves are low because he's become the preferred corner kick specialist for the US men's team as well as for his current team AC Milan. So working with the current season's data, we're going to see that Pulisic has been more favouring outswingers than his in-swinging option, of which that's mostly vice versa against what Bukayo Saka does. It seems to favour the in-swinger most. But if you're going to do an eye test, like even considering previous seasons, you're going to find that Pulisic can strike a balance between those.
In the 6th minute, as Pulisic sends that in towards the front post.
Be impatient.
You're going to find that it also depends on his stronger foot, which is the right, which he employs for both in-swingers and outswinger. So another aspect of the American's game is his ability to press, like even dropping down a bit and assisting the defensive midfielder whenever he can. Though when we do look at the numbers, you're going to see that Pulisic doesn't really put in a defensive shift. He more wants to be active higher up the pitch or in the middle of the park. Pulisic has the lowest number of attempted tackles, and he loses out a lot in those duels whenever he does make challenges. I think he's most effective when he's paired with an effective defensive midfielder like he did in his days at Chelsea in the form of Kante. He wants to be free there. Of course, he's going to be there to try and hold up and try and frustrate opposition, but for the most part, his focus is on the offensive play. And actually, the eye test is going to prove that a lot. You pick up on those loose balls here and there, but there isn't much to show significantly in terms of active tackling. You don't want to have Pulisic in positions where he's going to be having to recover the ball. You more or less want him naturally in a space where he's the one who's doing the offensive work. When you see him tackle, not that he doesn't have those clean tackles, but for the most part, when you see him tackle, you're left with an aura of that's not so clinical, and he tends to draw a lot of fouls. When you want to compare him to the greats who played before, like Ronaldo, you really don't want to be putting him in a position where he has those physical exaltations and he has to be given the runaround. He's not at that counter level. So before we try the eye test and we look at Pulisic's dribbling game, we're going to take a look at the stats. You're going to find that Pulisic is a meticulous player. He does his dribbling higher up the pitch. He doesn't do that at the back. He also takes less significant touches than Saka, but I do believe, like when we're going to shift to the eye test, you're going to see that he does have that bit of skill there. He doesn't put a lot of muscle into how he dribbles or how he defends and tries to get around markers. Most of his is around pacey types of dribbles. He doesn't do those overly overt or item. He just does those little swipes of the ball, those little switches, those little turns, but he doesn't really go flamboyant. He's not your Samba player, but he's an effective dribbler. His objective is carrying the ball. If I dribble, I'm switching it up and I'm running. He's not like your Neymar or your Vinicius type of dribbler. I think his style of play reminds me of the likes of Dennis Bergkamp. It's more of utility pace, though he's a bit less physical than him. Also, I don't think you can put him in the category of the likes, for instance, of Cristiano Ronaldo. Unlike his earlier days in Dortmund, he doesn't do those flashy stops, pause and dribble type of things. He just moves and progresses the ball. His game is more or less simplified that way, and I do believe it's effective. I believe it's the right way he should continue to go, and I also think that exposes him less to injuries. So the last aspect of the Americans game we're going to be taking a look at is his penalty taking. I believe that he's been taking up the role of being the designated penalty striker for the US men's team. You're going to find that even in high pressure situations, his conversion rate is close to 100%. I've only ever seen him have a penalty saved once and actually converted that on rebound. So he uses his preferred foot, striking with his right and following up. He picks his spot. He's conscious, is in the moment. I believe that this aspect of his game has improved actually over the years. I believe the only reason he's not the designated striker for AC Milan is probably because there's been strikers ahead of them, but there have been instances where I've seen him actually step up and take up that responsibility. I believe that those numbers are going to increase in terms of his conversion of penalty kicks. Maybe he'll be designated that position more at a club level, but all in all, that's our assessment of Christian Pulisic. We expect more from this talented American. We expect him to improve over the years. He's definitely Champions League material, having it won it once, and no doubt that possibly, who knows, maybe they'll win, besides Continental Cups in the Americas, the World Cup itself. So from us at Nuance Sports, guys, please do like, share and subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. Till next time.